Even before Traumathon, I've had a lot of requests for Possibly in Michigan, and if you're a longtime viewer, you know that I don't really like to cover topics that everyone already talked about. It'd be a waste of time, honestly. But since it's Traumathon, and I know most of you who are asking are only asking because it's suddenly a lot more popular on TikTok, I'll give you guys what you've always wanted. Think of it as like a Halloween treat from me to you, though I'd still recommend others' videos, just in case I've missed a few details myself. I'll only be taking a quick glance at the ever so infamous Possibly in Michigan. If you don't know, Possibly in Michigan is a strange experimental horror short film about two women somewhere, possibly in Michigan, exploring around a seemingly empty mall while they're stalked by some strange masked man. Sharon is our main character and is said to have an insatiable lust for violent men, as told by the narrator. Her friend Janice was pretty much the same, as well as the stalker named Arthur. Now, most of what is talked about and sometimes sung about is mainly symbolic and at first glance nonsensical. However, most of what is shown has meaning, sort of having this message of self-destruction and an appetite for chaos and death, as well as a not-so-subtle cannibalistic imagery, as much of this story is about a cult of cannibals that Sharon once met. Arthur, in the meantime, has fantasies about Sharon and believes that being intimate with her could lead him to a better life or to be a better person, much like the Frog Prince. When he invades Sharon's home, the two begin to struggle while a very sing-song narration takes place that represents the two conversing nonsensically, though it seems to be more of an allegory of an abusive relationship and manipulation. Janice comes inside the house with a gun, shoots Arthur, and the two then proceed to cook and eat his corpse. Yeah, it's pretty fucking freaky, and to be honest, aside from it being so talked about by pretty much everyone else in the creepy community, I'm really not a big fan of experimental films. And that's partly why I've stayed away from this one. I mean, it's not bad. I don't think I'm suited to talk about experimental stuff because I'm not into it. But it means a lot to y'all, so I'd be remiss to ignore the resurgence of this video's popularity, so let's dig in a little deeper. This film was made back in 1983 by Cecilia Condit, a video artist who made films much like Possibly in Michigan that dealt with psychological aspects of sex and violence, as well as the subverting common trope of female representation within media. She's no lightweight either, having won several awards from many organizations such as the American Film Institute and the National Endowment of the Arts, just to name a few. This video didn't really garner much attention by itself back then, but soon became viral after being posted on Reddit sometime in 2015, which technically means the entry itself is just about 2 years shy of being included in Traumathon, as all Traumathon entries should be at least 8 years old, but I'm gonna allow it since the original film is fucking 30 years old. At any rate, Cecilia was actually interviewed due to the sudden viral success her video garnered, not from YouTube back in 2015, but on TikTok 4 years later as the audio grew larger than the video itself. This is when we get to learn some dark shit about Cecilia's life that heavily inspired much of her work, and to some degree, adds to the unnerving nature of Possibly in Michigan. For example, her first film was called Beneath the Skin, which is based on her experience dating a guy who was, get this, not only was he cheating on her, but he murdered the other woman he was seeing while he was dating Cecilia. And not only did he do that, but he also hid her body inside of his bedroom closet. Holy fucking shit. Also, Possibly in Michigan wasn't really seen by many people until just recently, but there was a time where it was used as propaganda by that stupid fucking show, the 700 Club. God, I hate this show. If you're not American, you might not know what 700 Club is. Well, basically, it's just an hour-long Christian show that was it was on a lot of networks. When I was a kid, it was there, and it was so annoying. It's stupidly boring, total fear-mongering, and as the show went on, they actually featured Possibly in Michigan on the 700 Club, just for them to say to their audience that art in America has become provocative and amoral, and that this is some sort of smut that's being funded by the American liberal government, blah blah, eat my dick, whatever. I fucking hate this show. Regardless of what the Boomer Club thinks of Possibly in Michigan, it's very clear that this video is quite ahead of its time, with many people comparing the video to that of the sketches from Tim and Eric's show. The cult following this video has garnered has exploded exponentially, with so many people on TikTok embracing the weird and odd songs of the video itself, many people even claiming that it's a feminist video icon. I've heard this song a ton of times in the creepy community on TikTok, by the way. People love it, and Cecilia, now 74 years old, adores that so many young people are getting into her old flick. But with so much praise for the old piece of film, what exactly is the meaning behind the flick? And what is it that it could all mean? I mean, is this feminist revenge porn? Or is it some sort of telltale warning about toxic relationships? Well, I'm sure there is some meaning to it, aside from it being just about cannibals, but I think, like most pieces of art, that's just for the viewer to decide. Some of us might think this video is unsettling, others might find it dark yet funny, or just maybe meme-worthy. It's all in the eye of the beholder, and I think that's what makes this video so memorable and what kept it to be so fresh even after decades of general obscurity. It's a wonderful film that you just have to watch for yourself and really try to keep your mind open. There's so much imagery, so much talked about, so much sung. There's really barely any dialogue at all. It's mostly just song, and that's what makes it fun. For me to just call this some creepy piece of content, I feel is just a disservice to this film. It's more than that. It's a charming flick that has a meaning of its own, but you just have to find it by yourself. And I think, ultimately, some people won't connect with it, others will. Ultimately, that's for you to decide.
She must have been out of her head.